The Supreme Court is set to issue rulings on several high-profile cases starting today. And the closed-door trial for a Wall Street Journal reporter begins in Russia. The Morning Rundown starts now.
From the Straight Arrow News Studio, bringing the stories that matter to you from across the United States and around the world. This is the Morning Rundown.
Today is Wednesday, June 26th. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kara Rucker. It's decision time at the Supreme Court. Over the next 3 days, the High Court is set to deliver rulings on 14 cases, including high-profile ones on subjects like presidential power, abortion, and social media. As President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump prepare for Thursday's first presidential debate, the court is poised to deliver a ruling on Trump's claims of absolute immunity from criminal prosecution. With Trump facing federal charges accusing him of attempts to overturn the 2020 election, the court will decide if a former president can be prosecuted for official acts taken while in the White House. During oral arguments in April, the justices seemed open to the idea of some immunity for presidents, while questioning what exactly falls under that category. The High Court will also tackle the legality of a felony obstruction charge used by the Justice Department against 300 people who stormed the Capitol on January 6, 2021. A former Pennsylvania police officer has challenged that charge, stemming from a law to prevent the destruction of evidence during financial crimes, which originated during the Enron accounting scandal. The obstruction charge is one of 4 former President Trump faces in his federal election subversion case. Then 2 years after Roe v. Wade was overturned, another question before the justices is if doctors can perform abortions in medical emergencies despite any state-level restrictions. And the topic of social media is also on the docket. First, the Supreme Court is determining whether state laws to restrict how social media platforms moderate content violates the First Amendment. And in another case, the justices will decide whether the Biden administration violated the Constitution in its communication with social media companies to remove what it classified as misinformation on COVID-19 in the 2020 election. While the Supreme Court justices usually look to complete their work by the end of June, there is a possibility the opinions may continue to early next week. The espionage trial of Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich is now underway in Russia behind closed doors. Gershkovich was seen in a courtroom this morning before the proceedings began. He is the first Western journalist to be arrested on espionage in post-Soviet Russia. Gershkovich was arrested while reporting for the Wall Street Journal in March of 2023, accused of spying for the CIA. The U.S. government, Wall Street Journal, and Gershkovich himself all deny the allegations, with the State Department declaring him wrongfully detained. His trial is expected to last for months, and if convicted, Gershkovich faces up to 20 years in prison. WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange is back in his home country of Australia today, a free man, after pleading guilty to violating U.S. espionage law. As part of the deal with the Justice Department, he'll get no more prison time since he already spent the last 5 years in a London prison fighting extradition to the U.S. He had originally been facing 18 criminal charges related to WikiLeaks' release of sensitive information into the public domain, but only had to plead guilty to 1 charge as part of the agreement. The judge in former President Donald Trump's New York criminal case has partially lifted a gag order put in place during the trial. For the entire trial, Trump was barred from talking about potential witnesses, jurors, or court staff and their families. Now the former president is allowed to comment publicly about witnesses and jurors. The judge still left in place a separate order, keeping Trump and his lawyers from disclosing the identities of jurors or their addresses. Trump is expected to be sentenced July 11th. The House Judiciary Committee plans to vote this week on a measure to hold President Joe Biden's ghostwriter, Mark Zwanitzer, in contempt of Congress for refusing to hand over documents and other materials tied to his work on the president's memoirs. The vote is set for Thursday morning, just hours before the debate between Biden and former President Trump. The resolution to hold Schwanitzer in contempt is expected to advance on party lines. The White House on Tuesday called the vote an attempt to harass and intimidate a private citizen. Results are in for several states that held primary elections on Tuesday. In New York, in the most expensive House primary in history, incumbent Democratic Congressman Jamal Bowman lost to George Latimer in the state's 16th district. Bowman becomes the first member of the progressive group in the House, known as the Squad, to lose in the primaries this year. During the race, a pro-Israeli lobbying group spent nearly $15 million in efforts to stop Bowman, who had been critical of Israel's operations in Gaza. In Colorado, after switching districts, Republican Congresswoman Lauren Boebert won the House primary in the state's 4th district. Boebert received the endorsement of former President Donald Trump last week. And in Utah, Congressman John Curtis won the GOP primary to fill Mitt Romney's open Senate seat. Curtis is favored to win in November since Utah has not elected a Democrat to the Senate since 1970. Finally this morning, Toys R Us is known for the slogan, "I don't want to grow up." But now the toy brand is growing with the times, using AI to make its latest promotional video.
Did you ever wonder how Toys R Us and Jeffrey the Giraffe came to be? The son of a bike shop owner, Charles Lazarus, had a vision that would go on to change toy stores forever.
The retail toy company used OpenAI's text-to-video tool called Sora to create the video. Toys R Us released the video at an advertising event in France, saying it is the first ever brand film created by the technology. While Sora is not yet publicly available, the toy chain partnered with an agency who is an early tester of the AI model. After going out of business years ago, Toys R Us shops can now be found inside Macy's department stores. The company hoping these AI videos will get the word out. These are your top stories for this Wednesday. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Until then, I'm Kara Rucker. Have a great day.